Okay, Professor Dr. Richard, thank you for your informative idea and some of the inspiration are excellent. So right now, I need to be frank and honest. There are so many things to do in Myanmar, especially management system, education system, and other infrastructure building up system. So many things to do. And this thing to do, among one of the most important thing is education sector. And then how do you think about current Myanmar education sector? And please let me know your personal point of view on Myanmar education system.
Okay, thanks. It's a great question, and you're right. There's the world's always in change, right? So we can sometimes feel very discouraged that, oh my gosh, everything in Myanmar is broken and nothing works and blah blah blah. But I can guarantee you there are a lot of millions of people in the United States who feel the same way about America right now. So this is the way to make it great. Other people, no, this is a mistake. There are people in every country who go through that. It's a part of life. It's a part that that nothing is permanent. The sort of general impermanence of things, right? So, and including power structures, including power systems. So, my first thought is we shouldn't be too discouraged. It's very frustrating for all of us at many times, right? And the electricity goes out, the currency's weak, and so forth. But and people are suffering, right? We don't want people hiding in the jungle in the woods. We want to bring people back in, and take care of people. But my view is I don't know much about politics. I don't know how that would work. What I do know is that when people think with more clarity, they'll see that there are solutions there, and that they're worth trying, they're worth taking. And when they get over the emotional, the sort of egotism, we're kind of moving into this social media time where everybody wants to be an influencer and everybody wants, look, I'm not an influencer. I don't follow what I'm saying. My goodness, that would be ridiculous. But think for yourself. Think very clearly. So for me, at the core of it, if we want better infrastructure, we need better education. If we want better management systems, we need better education. If we want better security, we need more education. And that's difficult because we often want it quickly. And I think that we're moving where some people have described the current world as sort of the attention economy, that we're trying to get everybody's attention. And as we see, for example, people using TikTok. Do you ever use TikTok? You're on TikTok, right? It's very interesting, right? And it's very addictive almost, and I like it. And, please subscribe to our TikTok channel. But I can find myself going, swipe, going through quicker and quicker and quicker, and not really learning anything. And so we also have to take time, and that's one of the things that, one of the things among other traditions, but Buddhism, particularly Ledi Sayadaw's Vipassana meditation, tries to get us to calm down and see the present moment, see what's happening right now. What are my options right now? Of the options that I have, which is the best option to take right now? And not get, entracted into an ideological, but I am this, I am that. For example, we say we want democracy, right? I like democracy. Democracy has been very good to me. I'm a big fan of it. But it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And democracy in the United States of America is rather different from democracy in the UK. First past the post system, right? It's rather different from democracy in Switzerland, which is much more of a committee-driven bureaucratic affair. It's different than, China says that it's a democracy now. South Korea says it, North Korea says it's, everybody's a democracy. The real question is not getting stuck on these ideological, am I left, am I right, am I this, am I that? I think the real important thing is to say, let's look at the situation that I'm actually in. What can I do that will help the most people right now? What can I do that will, that fundamentally matches with my ethics? Right? That doesn't end up killing people, doesn't end up harming people, doesn't end up stealing from people. All the things we know are good. And I think education is at the end of that, because even when you could see the things the young folks were doing downstairs today, we're not it was a fashion show, right? We're not primarily trying to teach them to memorize all the fashions. We're not trying to make them sew the clothing, although they did memorize a lot and they did sew the clothes and they did a lot of wonderful performances. But we're really trying to get them to look and say, why was that fashion there? What did it mean to someone at some time? And what should it mean to me today? so that they don't just fetishize somewhere out there, there's a solution that I don't know about, somebody else has it better, but my life, oh, the suffering. That won't help you.
Yeah.
What will help you is to think your way out of your situation, which is very difficult.
Yeah.
And very unfair. And that's the nature of life. I wish it was better, but that's what we've got. So I think that when I look at Myanmar and I think, how do we get to some version of democracy that everyone can agree to? How do we, share power? How do we, what shall we build next? Right? Because we've kind of been stuck in this, post-colonial type of, we're just barely trying to get the bridge to get across the river. What if we were building a beautiful bridge like they do in Vietnam? We're still at the point where we're saying we just need to get up this many houses as quickly as we've got so many population to put up. But we don't want our houses to look like old Soviet style, right? Public housing. What if we were doing like China is beginning to do now, where they're saying we want houses that are beautiful and that say something about Chinese culture, whether you like that or not, right? Even when I lived in Japan for decades, one of the things I loved about it was they would build a modern skyscraper, right? Very, very new, very high-speed elevators, facial recognition technology in them now and so forth. Silent, faster than we had them in North America. But when you came up to the top office, including my office and my company back then, the doors open and they're like shoji screens. It feels like it's a Zen monastery almost. It's very Japanese in the aesthetic of it, right? In the way that it looks. Now it's robots running it now, right? And it's all software driven, and it'll soon be AI driven. But it's still speaking to what it meant to be Japanese. And so kind of our idea at the university is what will happen, and this will particularly be easy to explain to people when we've built the new 100-acre campus, right, the Ecotech campus. But how do we, I don't know how to solve all of the immediate, conflicts that are going on. And there are hopefully a lot of smart people working on that. But what we do believe is that if we can educate young people to think really with great clarity and look at all of the options that are available to them and try to say what fits the most for us, for our people, for our culture, for our language, for our way of life, that they're going to be able to create a really beautiful future, I think. And that's kind of what we're putting our bet on, is that if we can really get them to think clearly, and that comes through long education. And we do need to overcome, you asked specifically about Myanmar education. I want to comment about something that is within our own people, not so much within the system. But we are tending to be driven by the new social media age, right? Where we want to get a certificate just so we can put it up and show it online. In the old days, right, we wanted to just put that certificate up in mom's and dad's house, right? It's a very big deal. But what we need to recognize is the certificate's just a piece of paper. Right? Whatever I got a bunch of degrees. It doesn't mean anything. Only what I do with my life means something. Only what I can really accomplish. And so certainly it's great that you get that, and we want you to have that, and that's a wonderful thing. We give them out at every graduation. But we don't want people who are in a hurry, who are saying, I just want to get through this as fast as I can so I can, put the sticker on the wall or put it on Instagram and then move on. We want you to really think about as an ethical human being, and particularly as a Myanmar person. Sometimes when I would ask my foreign friends, tell me about Myanmar before I came here, they would start out with, they would say, well, first Myanmar was a British colony. And I would say, wait a minute, you tell me first it was a British colony? That was the beginning? I don't believe that. No, it goes back thousands of years, right? It's kingdom after kingdom, right? And all of the, and all of the rooms in our campuses are named after the various kingdoms, right? And after the various kings and so forth, because we're looking at that history. No, the period of colonization is a very short period, 144 years or so, right? Out of thousands of years of history in the past and since then. We need to shake it off, I think, and recognize that was a bit of an anomaly. It was something we went through. We survived it. A lot of people did. Malaysia did. Vietnam did. Lots of countries did, right? But it's over. And we don't want to accidentally fall into the same kind of slave-like behavior, so that globalization, which could be a really great thing for us with free trade and travel and, and all kinds of unrestricted connections, but we don't want to lose our sense of identity with that and become, subservient to yet another kind of colonial, neo-colonial, you could say, system. That's not the intention of globalization, but it could become the accidental outcome of it if we don't know who we are. And that's why I think that education has to combine, our own history, our own mythologies, our own literature, our own indigenous ways of knowing things, our own indigenous medicines and blah, 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 with what's happening in the future, what's coming with artificial intelligence, with cybersecurity, with, the new, much more interconnected world. How do we fit in? We don't want to fit in as the last place. I always cringe when I hear people describe Myanmar as the least developed country. Right?
Yeah.
According to whom? We're sitting here in an air-conditioned office with Wi-Fi speeding around us on video. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's got its problems, right? Some parts are not developed the way we want, but I don't know that we would say that it's undeveloped or least developed. From a perspective, maybe from a global northern perspective, that seems true, but we're on our way. We're trying really hard, and we're, like every good entrepreneurial culture, we're messing up a lot of the times, and we argue and fight with each other a lot of the times, and hopefully we figure out how to get over that. But ultimately we should try on every side, I think, including people who are here, including people who've left, including people who are coming back, to always try and think about what would it mean to be Myanmar? What would it mean to be a great nation that, everyone has positive and negative, with Thailand, you name it, they're all around us, they've had experience with us. We were pretty strong. And hopefully we will be, and hopefully in a wise way. That's something that education should try, and that occurs. It takes time to build wisdom. I'm 60 and I don't think I'm wise yet. I don't feel like I'm as wise as my teachers were. I'm working on it, trying. And for our younger students in their 20s and 30s and 40s, it takes a while, to let it sink in and to test, and to really see, because we all come in with, no, I know this and I know this and I can tell you the GDP, and then you look at the numbers and you recognize, oh, it's not the way you thought it was. We have to look at the evidence, and where it takes us is where it takes us, whether we like it or not. But to have the courage to do that, I think we have to really make sure that we always build that value, the values that are deep in whatever it means to be Myan. That we move. We don't just sit, Mar. That we stay strong, right? Whether we come from a tradition, I come from Buddhism, whatever the tradition is, right? That that we understand that there's suffering in the world, and that we're here trying to improve that situation for people and not cling to that. If a snake bites us, it's not wise to chase after the snake to figure out why it bit us and ask us why. It's better to go get medicine, get the antidote, right? And and whether it's to look at the ideas of how do we want to present ourselves in the modern world, around the world, in the United Nations, in the in various global free trade agreements and so forth. How do we present ourselves as an important member of that community, rather than as we're very ashamed of who we are and so forth. Look, everybody has stuff they feel ashamed of. Me too. That's human nature. But I think we have more things that we can feel proud of and care about. But, part of the reason, often families they get angry, right? Husbands and wives fight with each other. They get upset. It's because they love each other. Often. And sometimes the worst thing to do is if I hear somebody fighting in my village, the worst thing I can do is go over and try and stop it, and tell them, because then they'll both be angry at me. The husband and wife will rejoin. So I think that can happen, amongst our many, many ethnic groups, amongst our many, many languages, our many religions, our many, it was quite a spread out country. But I think we should continue to try to work on how do we treat each other with decency and respect and loving kindness, and make sure that we continue to fulfill the nation that we have been working on, work in progress after several thousand years.
Yes.